brief look at the very brief hearing that Brian Kohberger had today in front of a judge in Latah County. Welcome back to Court TV Live. Thank you for being with us on this Thursday. Here's what we want to do is we're continuing to dig into the details in this affidavit of probable cause that supports his arrest. It's all the reasons police had to nab him and charge him with these heinous crimes. We also want to kind of take a look back at how we got to this point. Who is Brian Kohberger? What do we know about him? Let's watch.
Handcuffed and dressed in a red jail uniform, Brian Kohberger, the PhD student, made his first appearance as a defendant in a Pennsylvania courtroom. He was arrested at home with his parents on December 30th, wanted for the murders of Madison, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan, 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho.
I did not imagine the investigation would lead to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania State Police were asked for their help in his capture after Kohberger was identified as a suspect.
Mr. Kohberger was taken into custody without incident.
This news of his arrest came as a shock to the small community near the Poconos.
This place is known to be like a nice place, like it's a tourist place. It's a Mount Poconos. I mean, to hear this, it's so real for me. To be honest with you, it feels like a dream at this point.
Not only is the area better known for its scenic mountain getaways, it's more than 2,500 miles from the crime scene. Brian Kohberger waived his right to an extradition hearing inside of this courthouse in front of a judge and a packed courtroom that included his family. That waiver started the process for his transport back to Idaho to face those 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Having read those documents and the sealed affidavits of probable cause, I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents.
Those documents are expected to reveal some of the evidence against Kohberger, including details about a white Hyundai Elantra the police say was in the vicinity of the victim's apartment around the time of the murders. Kohberger was driving a similar car when he was pulled over by Indiana police on December 15th. He was with his father on their way from Washington State back to their home in Pennsylvania. Kohberger was a graduate student at Washington State University in Pullman. The campus just minutes away from the apartment where the victims were slain.
In law enforcement, we understand the best thing we can do for victims and their families is to follow every lead, collect every piece of evidence, and bring those responsible to justice.
And that was, of course, Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae reporting for us. She is standing by in Pennsylvania, gathering details there for us, helping us break down this affidavit. And we have assembled a power panel for you on the show today to go through all facets of this, to tackle the law enforcement angle. We have retired DEA Special Agent Ted Golden to talk the legalities of what went on in the defense of Brian Kohberger. Attorney Eric Faddis, he's a practicing criminal defense attorney in Denver, Colorado, also served as a prosecutor before that. And medical doctor Peter Cummings, who is a forensic pathologist and published author, an expert witness. And we're going to talk a lot about the gruesome details of this as well. And thankfully, Dr. Pete, let me start there with you, please. I've noticed that really the gory details about these victims, the way in which they were killed, was left out, I think for good reason, by these investigators. They certainly don't need it, do they, to put it in here and just make it very public and just run the risk of upsetting those families further.
Exactly. And, I don't know what the laws are in that state, but the affidavit is going to be a public record. And in a lot of places, in some jurisdictions, autopsy reports are not public record. And there's information that you probably don't want to release because it's a privacy concern. So you don't need that kind of stuff to be put into an affidavit. You just need a probable cause to arrest this guy. And I think they went way over and above and beyond for that with the DNA and the knife case and the previous, 12 visits to the house. And, so I don't think that there's anything in there from the autopsy that needs to be put in there in detail. We know there's sharp force injuries and we know there's a knife case found at the scene. And that's probably all we really need to know. the details of that will come out during the trial when the medical examiner testifies, and how that's played out will be interesting to see how that's approached in terms of the level of violence and what's admitted in terms of photographs and what is not.
That's a good point too, Dr. Pete. Makes me think of defense trial strategies. You know, might this be a situation where a good defense attorney may say, let me stipulate to these autopsy reports, don't want the jury to know how bad this was, because it's not an issue of what happened, it's who did what happened. Eric Faddis, let me pick your brain. This attorney who appears to be a very seasoned and very sharp, that's representing Brian Kohberger. She's already been out doing, investigation, gathering information. Tell me, how tough of a task is this going to be in your view, representing this guy through this criminal process?
Oh, it's a tremendous uphill battle. We have not only not one grisly murder, but 4 grisly murders. And on top of that, this is a national controversy. This is a national incident. And so you have this public pressure. You have folks who have already made up their minds about what happened. And what the defense attorney needs to do is get in there, start doing the work, which this defense attorney has done. She has hit the ground running. She has requested a defense investigation of the home at which the murders occurred. And I'm sure she's taking other measures as well. She's got to eventually try to counter the narrative that has been in the public for so long, to try and have the people who are going to make the decisions in this case keep an open mind. But that is absolutely going to be immensely difficult considering what's gone on so far and what is contained in that affidavit.